We are talking about the winners and losers from Tuesday night's New Hampshire Democratic primary. Bernie Sanders grabbed the most votes with 25.7%. Pete Buttigieg came in a close second with 24.4%. And Amy Klobuchar rounds out the top three with 19.8%. Elizabeth Warren finished in fourth place with a little more than 9% of the vote. Former Vice President Joe Biden came in fifth with 8.4%, and Tom Steyer finished sixth with 3.6%. Here to talk about last night's results, we have Travis County GOP Chairman Matt Makoviak and Ed Espinoza from Progress, Texas. Thank you both for being here.
Good to be here.
Ed, what are your thoughts on last night's poor showing for Biden and Warren and the surge of Buttigieg and Klobuchar?
Yeah, so I think the big news of the night is that Bernie Sanders might have won New Hampshire, but Amy Klobuchar won the night, surging from behind where she was polling is somewhere around 8 points about a week ago, up to nearly 20 points in New Hampshire. That's a big movement for her, and I think we're going to see a lot and hear a lot more from Klobuchar over the next few weeks. As for Biden and Warren, look, these are not good signs, especially for Biden, who has placed most of his campaign on the fact that he is the most electable, and now he has come in fourth place and fifth place in successive primaries. So you've got South Carolina and Nevada coming up, but early vote states like Texas start voting before South Carolina and Nevada are over. So you have a big influence of Super Tuesday states starting immediately right now, and that's a big boon for states, for the candidates who are in the top three.
Matt, any surprises for you with last night's returns?
I would say there are two top-line points, and I agree. I think very bad night for Biden and Warren, hard for them to go forward and be a factor in the race. I think number one, yes, Amy's rise was sharp. And it was significant. She was at risk of being fourth or fifth herself, perhaps not even winning very many delegates as recently as a week ago. She had a very strong debate performance on Friday, and that carried her forward. She also won, I think, all but one of the editorial board endorsements in the state of New Hampshire, and that, I think, helped as well. But then second, I think, is if you look at Bernie Sanders, yes, he won. He deserves credit for winning New Hampshire. It is a neighboring state to Vermont. But he only got about a third as many raw votes in 2020 as he did in 2016. He now holds the record for having the highest percentage in winning New Hampshire and the lowest percentage in winning New Hampshire. And so, look, I don't want to read too much into it. You have a very large field. You have 4 or 5, at this point, viable, semi-credible candidates. That's part of the reason why in New Hampshire 4 years ago you had 2 candidates with him and Hillary. But I do think going from 150,000 votes in 2016 to 50,000 votes in 2020 does show that there is a low ceiling for Bernie's support. The challenge now is in the moderate lane, the so-called moderate lane, you've got 3 or 4 people competing: Bloomberg, Biden, Buttigieg, and now Klobuchar. And so unless that vote coalesces, Bernie's going to be able to keep winning these early states.
Ed, looking ahead to South Carolina and Nevada, do you see the momentum continuing for Klobuchar and the other top 2?
Yeah, I mean, momentum is always going to favor those who have done well in the early state primaries. The dynamic that's going to change in Nevada and South Carolina is that you're going to have a much more diverse electorate now. A lot more Latinos in Nevada and a lot more African Americans in South Carolina. That is an important element in the Democratic primary, and it's one that's bound to have an effect on this race. The other thing heading into Super Tuesday states, again, like Texas, is that you're going to have campaigns that have lots of infrastructure built in. And that's risk that Klobuchar and Buttigieg are facing right now, because they don't have the same infrastructure that Bernie has around the states, or for that matter, Elizabeth Warren, who has lots of infrastructure around the states. So I think those are the things that we're looking at right now: voters of color and infrastructure.
Okay, we're just about out of time. Matt, final thought.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think Super Tuesday, though, is going to be about paid media, not necessarily about ground game. And I think the lesson from last night from New Hampshire is that momentum trumps organization, right? Klobuchar's organization in New Hampshire was not the third best. It was the fact that she had significant momentum and she was moving in the right direction. Nevada is fascinating. The culinary union, the most important union in that state, came out against Bernie Sanders with a very tough mailer that just started hitting, I think, today, addressing the issue of health care and the fact that Medicare for All would kick them off their negotiated health care plans. So Nevada's going to be fascinating. I think it's a week from this Saturday, and I think South Carolina's a week after that, and you've got a couple debates in there, including the Nevada debate where Mike Bloomberg will participate.
Okay. Matt, Ed, thank you both for coming in and sharing your perspectives with us tonight.
Thanks.